Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ. I am joined by Mr. Will, and tonight we are covering The Social Network. I don't know if we should do like a disclaimer about like how much of our product is actually on Meta platform before we start this joint, because like gosh, it would be terrible if this show resulted in us being delisted or something or
Oh
banned.
man.
Hopefully it doesn't go that way by the time we get done. But you never know, man. Mr. Will, what's up with you, man? How you doing today?
I am cautiously optimistic. We got the start of a season, and
Yeah,
we
I see
got
you with the Raiders gear, man.
the potential posting on various social media.
Right. How about that?
So I'm
How
gonna be
about
very good. The views expressed in this episode.
our strictly CJ is not Mr. Will. There it is. Right, there it is.
Very
Don't get
vanilla.
shut down. Don't get put in Facebook jail. That's the point. That's the goal for tonight,
Yeah.
man. Yo, if this is your first time joining us, thank you very much for checking the show out. We talk about movies that have been in theaters for a long time, like this one, The Social Network, which was in theaters in 2010. And we talk about things that are in theaters right now, things that are coming out. We have almost 100 episodes, and we are building towards our 100th episode. And we're also trying to get 100 new subscribers by the 100th episode. This is our 92nd. Thank you to everybody who has actually subscribed in the last couple of weeks, man. We appreciate the support, and just let you know that we don't take that lightly. And as you continue to support us, we will continue to do our best job to talk about these movies from a very unique and hopefully engaging and entertaining perspective. With that said, last week, if you were listening to us, we covered a movie called A Lot of Nothing. That's actually the movie title. That's not what we're just calling it. Called A Lot of Nothing. Actually, had like a really good conversation about just protest, racism, activism. You can check out some of the clips that we have, which have been getting a lot of views. So thank you for everybody who's been checking that out
Yeah.
as well. And this week we're diving into something that is, ubiquitous, like social media. My goodness, and the supposed origins of it.
Suppose it is
So
crazy.
supposed is the right, because this is a dramatization like that. But anyways, let me kick it over to my man, Mr. Will, who's going to give us this summary before we jump into this breakdown.
Appreciate that, CJ. And without further ado, the social media details how Mark Zuckerberg, while a student at Harvard, contributed to the creation of Facebook. After a bitter breakup, Mark supposedly launched a website called Face Smash. Although this led to disciplinary action, it also attracts the attention of fellow students Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. They allegedly recruited him to build a social network site for Harvard. Instead, Mark develops his own version with his friend Eduardo Saverin. As Facebook rapidly expands, tensions rise between Mark and Eduardo over the company's direction and control. The film also explores the subsequent legal battles that follow Facebook's explosive growth. The Winklevoss twins sue Mark for allegedly stealing their idea, while Eduardo sues him for diluting his shares in the company. Intercut with scenes from depositions, the story unfolds through conflicting narratives that question loyalty, ambition, and ethics in the tech world. Ultimately, the social network presents a complex portrait of success built on innovation, betrayal, and personal cost of empire building.
There it is. There it is, man. Yo, when you're talking about all the trials that are happening, it reminds me of that Chris Rock joke when he's saying he was in court with his wife, and he was thinking about all the people that were trying to get money from him, like him, his lawyer, her, and he was like, "Wow, I really made it."
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like
Because
you
now they
make
want to
it,
sue you.
yeah, you make it when people are trying to try to sue you,
More
and
money, more problems.
right, literally, right. And this one, they was trying to sue this dude for in the M's, like major, like NFL contract M's. You know what I'm saying?
See, and,
You
and
know,
that's always been my question, right? Like, how do you sue somebody for that amount of money? Like, is
right,
that really what you want? Or is it that you
right,
want a public apology? Do you want it to, what do you really, what is the money supposed to be symbolic of? How does that
right.
really get you what you really want?
No, it's a great question. And the thing is, like, we talked about like kind of how to approach this film, because while this movie is kind of set up as if it's like a biographical story, it's really a lot more dramatization,
Yeah.
right? And so I think a lot of people like their idea of Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg or the Winklevoss twins or of Eduardo Saverin is shaped by this movie. But this is a dramatization, like I have this show that I love watching called Godfather Harlem. The
Yeah, I like that
Godfather,
show too.
yeah,
Yeah.
so do I, right? But like they got characters in there, whether it's Malcolm X or Muhammad Ali or Adam Clayton Powell, who like, yeah, those are real people, but what they're saying and doing and all
Yeah,
of
we
that,
don't have any clue.
those are dramatizations
Yeah.
of what those conversations are, right? But I say that like the Winklevoss twins, they sued this dude and got 65 million, right? But what's crazy
And they
is
were already wealthy.
they actually tried to go back and get more from him. They actually tried to go back and say, nah, this wasn't enough based on all
65.
the and then wanted to get more. And then that ultimately that case got thrown out. So I say that to say is I don't know what people are looking at, but I do know that when people know that you have money, they're absolutely going to try to get as much of it as they can. And when they know you have billions, 65 million, they're sorry, like um wait, which Jones is this? In this is not. I started to say Kadada Jones, but it's Rashida
Oh,
Jones.
it's
Sorry.
Rashida. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like Rashida Jones says, paying this is like paying a parking ticket or a speeding ticket. When you have that money, that's how they look at it.
But see, the crazy thing is what? Do they want all of his money and for him to be broke? So does that mean you really want to revel in the fact that you brought him down? So it's not the money. You
Yeah,
want credit for being the person that broke Mark Zuckerberg in this case. Like
yeah,
you want your pound of flesh. You don't
yeah,
want the money. Because if you
yeah,
wanted the money, you'd be like, all right, pay me. This is my price because this is what
yeah,
it's going to calculate for me to live the rest of my life in a lifestyle in a manner that I want to be accustomed to.
yeah.
Or I have these things that I have to pay off, or whatever it is. You get the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what they want. I think they want everything. They want to break your spirit. They want credit. They
Mm-hmm.
want money as far as like being properly incentivized and indemnified for whatever it is that you did to them. They want it all. There's no
Yeah.
limit to it. The world is not enough.
Yeah. I think the portrayal of them and the line in the movie where I don't remember who says exactly, but someone says the Winklevosses are suing Mark Zuckerberg in this film because it's the first time that things didn't go their way.
Uh,
That
Hey,
they wanted something and it didn't work the way that they wanted it to, and now they're trying to punish him for that. So I know that's said, and it's such a blending between what actually happened versus what didn't happen. But the numbers are numbers, right? Like they say, men lie, women lie,
numbers
numbers
don't.
don't. 65 M's. That's a real. That's a
But
real.
forget all that, man.
That's a
You
real
said it
number.
yourself before. They went to sue him again because they
Yeah, they
said it
went.
wasn't. So
Yeah,
that
they
leads
said it
me to
wasn't enough.
believe
Right.
there's some credence to that whole, yo, you
Yeah.
didn't get what you wanted. You didn't get
Right.
it your way. And that's
Right.
why you're doing this.
Right. And this is a fascinating movie because okay, so it's based on The Accidental Billionaires, right, by Ben Mesrick. So Ben Mesrick, when he writes the book, he does not talk to Mark Zuckerberg. So a lot of his feedback came from people that were around Facebook, as well as from Eduardo Saverin, who was suing Mark Zuckerberg at the time, and the Winklevoss twins, who were suing Mark Zuckerberg at the time. Which then this movie is then built on that book. So both the book and the movie were done without ever talking to Mark Zuckerberg, which is an important note to make as you talk about not only the book and only the movie, but also the portrayal of the movie done by Eisenberg, who's amazing in
Yeah.
this film. Jesse Eisenberg, who's amazing in this film, and probably sets the tone for how many people think Mark Zuckerberg is in real life.
Well, going in reverse order of what you mentioned, I am an admirer of Jesse Eisenberg's
He's a
acting
good actor.
skills. He's in a
Yep.
lot of movies that I really like, whether it be the zombie apocalypse joint with Woody Harrelson, all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
to the joint where I forget the title of it, but he's working at a um, what is supposed to be Action Park, um,
Oh,
um,
okay. Okay. Okay.
and
Okay.
I
I
forget.
like him in those Now You See Me, Now You
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
movies.
oh
He's got a
yeah,
quirk. Yeah, I
yeah.
like. He's got a quirky sort of style, but it works for him.
And this may be controversial, but I liked him in Batman vs Superman. I liked him.
You like his Lex Luthor?
Yeah, I like him, like the way he
Oh, okay.
acted and
Okay.
everything like that. I'm not necessarily saying that's the type of portrayal I want from a Lex Luthor, but I liked his spin. I mean, it's a different alternate universe. It's not the main universe. But even with
Mm-hmm.
that being said, I like your point of um, him being a tour de force in this, because he is very polarizing in this. He is very,
Yeah,
you can't take your eyes off of him and what he's saying and how he delivers his lines. You would actually be like, wow, I forget that this is the same guy I saw in this movie.
yeah,
And when you can, the true measure of an actor's skill is when you can learn to not be able to distinguish between him and the role that he's portraying. And I wasn't able to really make that separation. I started looking at him like he was the epitome of Mark Zuckerberg. And I don't even know, full candor, I don't even know how Mark Zuckerberg gets down in real life. You know what I'm saying?
right. Yeah, and the thing is, to make a film like this about someone who actually probably doesn't really have a defined social persona,
Mm-hmm.
and then have the social persona be defined by a movie about him,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of different than what you normally see. Like, even I think back in episode 24 we did Malcolm X, right?
Yeah.
But even Denzel, is so much footage of Malcolm X that Denzel can actually pretend to be like that person. Whereas in this case, Jesse Eisenberg is setting the idea for how many people actually think
Agreed.
Mark
Agreed.
Zuckerberg is, because there wasn't so much things. Now he's been to Congress so many times that people have a better idea of what his personality is like. But still, but like this was the defining thing. So that's like a different kind of way of looking at the biographical story of someone.
Yeah, and the dope thing about that is that he could kind of hide behind that. Like, you don't know me. You know what I mean? Like, so if that's
Right.
what you want to believe about me, so be it. But
Right.
I've protected my true self from the public, which is what you hear all the time from all these celebrities, is that,
Right.
you only know what I put out there, the image that you're meeting my representative, but you don't know behind the scenes that I donate to whatever foundation, or that,
Right.
my favorite color is aquamarine, or I
Right.
fly kites on Sundays at 2 p.m. Like, they don't, the public doesn't know that, because you've carefully grafted and crafted this narrative about yourself.
Yeah, which is ironic because Facebook as a system is a place where people put all the
Yeah.
details about who they are, where they're at, what they're eating,
Mm-hmm.
who was with them, tagging people, like all of that, all the transparency that is allegedly there is not actually represented by the owner of the thing that created it in the first place.
Another
It's an
spin on that
interesting
irony
paradox.
too, though, is sometimes people only put what they want you to think is their best self. So if they
Oh,
went
no
on a
doubt.
vacation
No
and it was a
doubt.
great vacation, they'll like splice it so that their whole entire life appears to be a vacation.
Yep.
Meanwhile, behind the scenes, it's nothing like that whatsoever.
Yeah, like they say, the gram is a lie.
Mm.
That's what they say, man. So look, so this film, though, I want to just point this out. So David Fincher is the director, right? So we've
And we've done
covered
a
Dave.
few.
Yeah, we've done a David Fincher film before. We did Seven in
Hmm.
episode 5. Great film. Obviously, one of the greatest, maybe surprise endings in all of film.
What's in the
Uh,
box?
right, exactly. We talked about The Game with Michael Douglas.
Yep.
Amazing, amazing movie there. Fight Club, which
Oh
at
yeah.
some point we got to get to that. Zodiac, which I really liked with Jake Gyllenhaal. Of course, The Social Network, Gone Girl, which I thought was interesting to watch it, and then The Killer with Michael Fassbender, which really grew on me. Like I probably watch that one scene with him fighting the guy in Florida in his apartment. I
Yeah.
probably watch that like once a month. It's a brilliant scene. So
Nah, my scene is the joint where he goes to the dude's apartment or
that's what I'm
condo.
saying.
Oh
That's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
In Florida, yeah,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
pit
yeah,
bull.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Just an amazing, amazing director.
No, no, no. I'm
Um,
not talking about the pitbull joint. I'm talking about the head dude when
oh,
he's
the
having to
old,
see,
older
yeah,
white
the
guy.
older
Yeah, yeah,
dude,
yeah.
yeah,
In
yeah,
the high rise.
and the
Okay,
high
yeah.
rise joint, yeah, and they
Yes,
have the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
conversation. That's my joint.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta do that movie at some
Yeah.
point because that's a great one. And then Aaron Sorkin, so writer
Mm.
of A Few Good Men,
Hmm.
amazing, amazing dialogue. Molly's Game, which Jessica
Dope movie.
Chastain is in that. Love that with her and Idris
Mm.
Elba.
Dope movie. You
Amazing
don't have to.
dialogue. Right. F1, which I saw. I don't. Have you seen F1 yet?
Nah, I'm about to though. It's on the list.
Okay, F1, amazing, and then this. So the dialogue, for me, I love dialogue in a film. The
Hmm.
dialogue on this film is cracking the whole time, and I love like that. Even the opening scene, just the dialogue back and forth, the conversation with him and his girlfriend. It's like right away, it kind of pulls you in because of just how fast they're talking. And I remember reading that they had to like learn how to say all their lines very quickly because the editing was done in such a way that it was designed to make everything seem really fast paced to get people to really pay attention to dialogue that sometimes could have felt really technical but was actually like more direct than that.
You know, that scene, that opening scene, is arguably one of the best scenes in the entire movie. Um,
I agree.
and when she says that it feels like she's having two different conversations at once,
Hmm.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, just because you talk fast doesn't mean that you are intelligent. It just
Right.
means that you're just regurgitating whatever it is
Right.
because your mind is faster than your lips. But that's not a
Hmm.
sign of intelligence.
Hmm.
That was like my immediate response, and then I had to rewind it because I really wanted to understand where this guy was coming from. Why was he saying these things to someone that was on a first date? I didn't
Right.
like when I my first viewing, and then I was like, wait a second, he's not. This is not somebody he's dating. This is his girl.
This is woman,
I'm
right?
like, wait, what?
Yeah,
This
he's
is how
off the
you talk
rails.
to your significant. What is going on here? So
Yeah.
then, after listening again, I'm like, oh, you're gonna lose her. I didn't even get to the point. I'm like, oh, yo, there's no sensitivity, no concern, no empathy. You appear like an automaton. Oh,
Right.
it's a done deal, yo. And she's out of your league, homie.
Right.
Like, if you want to keep it a buck, like, yo, you're not playing within your realm.
Yeah.
You overachieved on this joint.
Yeah, and the character is immediately arrogant,
Mm-hmm.
immediately off-putting,
Smug.
immediately lacks empathy, right? Like all of the behavior, all the things that you would associate with like maybe a sociopathic kind of
Yeah.
person, and it comes across in that first scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that from that scene, and I think the brilliance of that scene is that from that point forward, nothing that the character of Mark does in that film seems outside of possibility.
None. And I
You
think
know,
the other thing too that reinforces that is that his immediate response is like, "Oh, we're serious right now." Like you couldn't tell
yeah,
from the
yeah,
way things were going on that that was off putting, and it would
right,
allow her to be like,
right,
"Yeah, I'm serious." Then
right.
to even triple down on that is he's like, "No, no, stay." Like
Hmm.
you can't expect her to stay after that, and you don't
After,
even go to run after her. Like you
yeah,
gotta put forth even if you don't mean it, you gotta go after her. You're like,
yo, it's burning a bridge to tell your woman in the same conversation that you guys are only in that place because she slept with the
yo, like
because she slept with the bouncer, and then say that she doesn't really have to study hard because she goes to a school that's not as good as yours, so she doesn't have to be as smart.
forget all that.
You burned the
You,
boat. You
I'm
burned the
going.
boat, my man.
Nah, the scorched earth joint was, yo, I'm going to introduce you to people that you would normally
Oh
never.
yeah.
No,
Oh
that
yeah.
joint was the
Yeah.
scorched earth. And then
Yeah.
when she says to
Yeah.
him, which I think eliminated all of that, like everything he said was definitely like, wow, that's foul. But the thing that she did that like put the death toll on him, rung the death bell for him was, um, it's not that you're a geek that people or a nerd. I forget the exact verbiage she uses
Hmm.
that people don't find you attractive. Is that you're a, and that's why people
Hmm.
don't mess with you. And once he had a time to like really process that, he couldn't even finish his beer. That's how you
Yeah.
know it was like,
She cut
yo,
him deep.
I can't eat, I can't sleep, like yo,
Yeah. She cut him deep.
and he
She
ran
cut him deep.
home.
She cut him deep. Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
"Go type."
Yeah. Tell you what, man, when somebody says offends you by saying something that you know is true, it'll jam you up. Like if you ever had somebody say something to you, you'd be like,
Oh, of course, man.
oh yeah, like that. Yeah. That like you don't even have
You
nothing
don't
else
have
to
a response.
say.
You don't have a response.
It happens. It happens, man. And then from that, okay, so Mark goes, and then we meet Eduardo Saverin, played by my man Spider-Man Andrew
Garfield.
Garfield, right? Who's also fantastic
Yeah,
in
he's
this
dope in
film
this, man. Yeah.
as well. I mean, like I remember watching this and thinking, yo, this dude's gonna go far. Right? And
Mm-hmm.
then and he has, right? And he really has. And he's really good at with the Eduardo Saverin character. And I guess I gotta say the Eduardo Saverin character, because I,
Yeah, we don't
might
know.
not be how it really is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like he has this emotional relationship where he looks at Mark as a friend, and
Mm-hmm.
then Mark be saying slick stuff to him the whole time, all
Yeah.
movie too, everything about the Phoenix Club and like just real hater comments, man.
Yo, the player hater of the year award goes to the
Goes to
character
the
of
character of Mark Zuckerberg
yo,
in this
because
film,
this
right?
dude is on some. Yo, I don't care what you think is ill, or whatever. I've never had any of. anyone I hold near and dear that talks foul to me, disrespectfully to me, on a
Right.
consistency
Right.
of Mark Zuckerberg
Right.
as a character in this movie. And I didn't know whether or not anybody was going to check this cat. Like, I mean, physically, like, yo, who was you talking to, man?
Right.
You're not
Right.
talking to me like that. Like, put him in his
Yeah.
place. Because for somebody that can't back up, Dave Chappelle has this joke where he's like, yo, if you ain't got no army, and I'm paraphrasing, then
Hmm.
maybe you should, and you should
Yeah.
just, and literally that's what it is with Mark. He's like, you ain't got no army,
Right.
so you should be quiet right about now, yo.
Yeah. But you know, the thing is, man, the movie allows for Mark's character to be checked so many times by the other characters because of that. Because of like, it's almost like the movie sort of sets it up like, okay, this is a jerk. And because he's a jerk, there's all these parts where he's going to get checked. Because he gets checked by his girlfriend later on in the film when he sees her. Obviously, Eduardo really kirks out at him at the end, which is one of the best scenes in the film. You know, the Winklevoss and their lawyers get a chance to put some pressure on him, to put some heat on him, right? And even Rashida Jones's character at the end kind of checks
I
him
like her
too about.
character.
So do I. I like how her thing is actually a brilliant
Yeah.
endpoint to the movie. So there is, you know, like it's a rare thing that in a film like this you get a chance to see everybody get their shot back at the person, because usually it's like this person's just kind of going up and up and up
Yeah.
and up. But they do allow him to get checked. Now, like I said, whether or not that happened in real life, who knows? But in here, it does.
No, you know what? And that leads to the things that I really liked about the movie.
Okay.
Um, I definitely like the cast. I think that the actors that were chosen, from Justin Timberlake to Jesse
Oh,
Eisenberg,
we didn't even get to Justin
nah.
Right. Sean
I,
Parker cooking. Right.
and I even like Army Hammer in this. I don't know if we're supposed to still
Yes.
like him or not
Yes.
because of the
No, you
things.
can't like Army Hammer no
Okay.
more. But yeah, no, just,
I
just saying. But yeah, no, he's good in
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
I was like, wow, he does a great job of portraying twins, let
Yeah.
alone twins with distinct personalities, let alone
Mm-hmm.
twins who have, a position from a family traditional standpoint of being, of a lineage that go to Harvard, but
Mm-hmm.
also of twins who they're Olympic rowers, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, they're intelligent. Like, they
Yeah.
have admirable qualities that people would normally strive for. Like, you want to
Yeah.
have physical prowessness, you want to be intellectually sound and sane, and you want to be able
Mm-hmm.
to navigate the business world, et cetera, et cetera. Like, he did a great job of portraying that. I also like the fact that, like I said, Rashida Jones, like, she's dope in this. And
Yeah.
and Brenda Song, I remember her from Disney joints. Like, she's,
Right.
yo,
Right.
I was like, yo, this is a nice young. So when people are saying like, we don't know if the next generation can carry the baton of Hollywood stardom and this, that,
Oh
and the
no,
third,
that's gonna
this
happen.
movie is a shining example of the talent that's still out there. There's a wealth of very creative individuals who are very prominent in the arts.
Yeah. The cast is fantastic. I agree with you. And the movie does this really unique thing where it creates this impression of a lot of these complicated characters, where I would say, with the exception of Eduardo Saverin's character, you don't really root for any of them. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying? None of them are really worth rooting for, and yet they're all really compelling on screen to watch, especially when they have to interact with each other.
Oh yeah, no, they're very charismatic, and like you just mentioned, like, it kept my attention because I was really invested in the fact of their acting abilities and what their performances were commanding of the audience. They were
Right.
commanding of the audience to say, "Hey, this is talent, and this is not something you're going to bear witness to in every single movie, or even half the movies you might see that year, or even going forward for that matter." Because
Yeah.
I've seen my fair share of bad movies, um,
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
like, wow, they've really put something together here, especially during that period when you had the backdrop of, you know all of these tech billionaires coming out. There was the countless movies about what's his name.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, Steve Jobs at
Yeah.
that
Steve
time, and
Jobs.
that
Yeah.
and the Ashton Kutcher playing that role at one point.
Hmm.
And you did have also behind the scenes, like, the divorces of these individuals or their personal lives being in shambles. So, the public was, clamoring for more and more information about them, trying to understand and gain some type of insight as to how they could be maybe the next tech billionaire, or how could they lose all of these things overnight when they were given so much. Like, everyone seems to think that money will eliminate any and every single problem that you will ever experience on the planet. But, come to find out that they're just human beings with money, and money
Yeah.
only accentuates whether you're a bad person or a good person. It doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. You already are a bad person. You're just a bad person with money. You already are a good person. You're just a good person with money.
Yeah, money is an amplifier, man.
Mm-hmm.
And this film, I remember seeing the poster for it, and the poster of it was like Jesse Eisenberg, and I remember it saying, "You don't get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies," right?
Yeah.
And like one of the things that you really touched on is this film became sort of the blueprint for the idea of like, let's watch a show about how somebody built like this kind of tech company. Because now, there's like the limited series about the guys who made Uber.
Yeah.
And then there's a limited series about the guy who made WeWork. And there's been like this kind of push to tell those types of stories. Because you're right. I think the audience, people like us, are trying to figure out what's the mentality behind these people. And then secondly, I think some people are watching and thinking, how can I create that next idea?
Mm-hmm.
What's like the mentality that I need to get to be there? So the movie definitely lays all that down. In terms of some of the things that I liked, the opening scene, which we talked about, I loved that. I think it's really interesting the way that the film explains why social media works.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea, like people want connection,
Mm-hmm.
people want exclusivity,
Mm-hmm.
people want to be invited and approved to interact with other
Validation.
people. The validation, yeah. And then like the linchpin is like when he says like people don't walk around with a sign on the chest that says I'm
Mm-hmm.
single or I'm in a relationship, which that's the thing that really kind of pushes it over. And like me and you, like we're old enough to remember like Black Planet, you know what I mean? And like those other media platforms, Facebook wasn't the first one like that, but it was able to capture things in the coding and the development of it.
MySpace comes to mind.
Right. Move so fast, so quickly that it became something where you could not avoid being on it. And I actually held out of being on Facebook until 2014. So I feel like I should always be able to like pat myself on the back because I ducked it for a while, but eventually it gets you because everybody was on it. And if you wanted to
2011 over
communicate with
here,
people,
fam. I
right,
was loving it. Not having
right, exactly, right.
social
But I
media
mean,
presence.
yeah, but in 2025, who do you know that doesn't have either
We
a
do.
Facebook,
We
Instagram,
do.
Facebook, Instagram, a Threads page, or a WhatsApp account? And by the way, yes, please make sure you like and subscribe
I
because
love it.
you can get this. Check out, we do have a Facebook page, yes, and an Instagram page, yes, and a
And a
Threads
Threads
page.
page.
So yeah, absolutely. Yo, shout outs to the Matrix. The Matrix has got us, and the Matrix has won. So yeah, that's how that goes. All right. So then the other things I liked, definitely the Rashida Jones part at the end, because I think she, in a way, her statement, first of all, she tells Mark, "You're not really an a-hole, but you're just trying to be too hard," which I think is a good definition for the way the
Mm,
character is portrayed. But then when she says a part about, "I never believe emotional testimony because it's 85% exaggeration, 15% perjury." I think like that was the
that's crazy.
director, the screenwriter's attempt to remind the audience that you have now watched a dramatization again. And because of all the emotional parts of it, maybe some of the things have been exaggerated just so you're clear. So those are just some of the things I liked about it. And once again, you mentioned him, but Justin Timberlake is great in this.
Yo, he's talented, man. Like,
He
yo,
really is. He's
I
a very, very flexible, very, very versatile
yeah.
performer in many senses.
Yes. I mean, like from the movie, what is it, Time Up or Time Out, where like you could buy time as
Yeah,
far
the
as
time
minutes.
joint on the wrist. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
even the joint where is it Mad Dog or Dog something, whatever? It's like basically him and a bunch of friends that someone ends up getting killed, they end up getting chased. It's like in a country setting, I forget. All the way
Hmm.
to the dating joint, Friends with Benefits with
I like that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
He's got great
You got
comedic
range,
timing.
man.
He's
Yeah.
got great. I mean, like if you ever seen him on Saturday Night Live, he's funny.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's a legitimately funny actor.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah,
And he's a
yeah.
basketball fan, and he's got good sneaker taste. So
Yes,
he gets
yes.
he gets props from me in that market.
I know how much of a sneakerhead you are, man.
Yeah.
I know about that. All right. What are some of the things that you did not like about this joint, man?
So uh, this is a little disclosure. CJ asked me to do three things, and one of them was one. Do not tell you guys that I disliked the movie in the first 3 minutes. Two, another thing he said,
Wait,
which
there was three things.
yeah,
Wait, there's three. All right, you wrote them down while I was talking.
two, the other one, two, the other one was we both we share our notes and stuff, and I'm usually a little bit more elaborate in mine than what I normally was, and he
It's
wrote,
pages and pages of notes to read.
and he was like, everything. I was like, it's just notes, dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, I there's not much about this movie that I liked. I did not care for this movie. I've seen this movie twice,
Okay.
and this was the second time I've watched it. CJ and I had a very rousing discussion with respect to why I didn't like this movie. Now, again, to know me is I like factual things.
Mm-hmm.
Contrary to CJ, I like biopics or
Mm-hmm.
bio pictures, however you wish to pronounce it. I like understanding about the interworkings of humanity, individuals, what gets them
Mm-hmm.
to that point. Like I like the thought process. I like the journey, and this movie didn't do that. It's a dramatization, so automatically that threw me off because I don't subscribe to reality TV intentionally, and that's what this is: reality TV before reality TV.
Okay.
If you're going to do something of this nature in this in depth, you can't go halfway. There's no such thing as halfway crooks. You got to go all the way. You either are pregnant or you aren't.
So
They,
wait. So let me ask a question. So is this? Are you saying that this needs to be a documentary instead of a movie?
I think this would have been well. I think this would have been well performed if it was a documentary first, and then this
Okay.
joint came out. Because
Okay.
then you can do the comparison. You can
Yeah,
do,
I got you.
you can juxtapose certain things. You can understand. All right, this is what's going on. Even if
Mm-hmm.
they just had a book, you know what I mean, about his life, whatever, and then they turned that into a movie like they normally do. All right, cool. I would have been well done with this
Mm-hmm.
being done in the way that it was. But they didn't do that. So now you're getting like you mentioned with Rashida Jones's character explaining it. Like there's a lot of this stuff is based off emotion. Like
Yeah.
Eduardo is giving this his perspective on what transpired, based upon him feeling like he got screwed out of countless of billions of dollars. Forget millions with an M. And I want
Mm-hmm.
people to really understand that because we just toss these words around in the lexicons if it's nothing. No, I don't own a million of anything. I mean, if you add it up, I forget the value. If you added up all the things in my personal possession, I don't have a million trinkets. All right. So I want people to really understand what a million is. Go look it up, break it down however you want, multiply, divide, subtract, whatever. Then I want you to understand, no, that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about billions, even
Mm-hmm.
trillions of dollars, because this is something that's going to be into perpetuity. And Mark
Mm-hmm.
Zuckerberg doesn't even own 100% of that. So I want you to
Right.
really think if they're going after him, how much of that pie has already been dissected? And the movie talks
Right.
about at that early stage as to what they were breaking up when they didn't even have money and they
Right.
were leveraging collateral into the business and equity into the business for this joint.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself, I have a problem with. I know this is going to be controversial, but money doesn't have any intrinsic value. So therefore, I have a problem with any movie that we've done, let alone this one, when it argues about money and placing it upon. That's why I prefaced my statement early on in this show about, hey, when is enough? They wanted
Mm-hmm.
65 million. All right. If you ask anybody right now, 65,000 is more than what some people make in a year, in a lifetime. And that would be
Mm-hmm.
enough to set them straight. These dudes coming from a position of privilege, and I'm talking about the Winklevoss twins, and they arguing about 65 million. That's enough to change. If I had there's the lottery's playing
Oh,
right now, 1.7 billion. I'm
1.8. 1.8 right now. I
I'm
know.
telling you right
I
now,
know.
if I win 10% of that, if I won, I'm telling you right now, we're not doing sticky floors the way it's done right now. All right. If I
Wait,
win
we're doing it in
1.7,
studio. In studio, 1.7.
1.7. All right. And quite frankly, I've had discussions with other people. Let's just say a lot of people would be taken care of in a matter of like, hey, because I'm a generous person. No, it's just that I don't want to see people struggle unnecessarily. And these dudes are sitting here not about wanting money because they're struggling, not about wanting to give that money to a charity, for example, to help someone because, they're rescuing orphans from, off of some boat or something like that. No, these dudes are trying to make this cat squirm. Like, yo, how dare you come and rise against us? So in the movie, that back and forth, I have a problem with when it's simply about greed. I have a problem with movies about greed. Then on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, the way that they are almost, I don't know if it's slander. I don't know if it's just outright belligerent lies being told. I don't know what it is. And that ambiguity doesn't sit well with me. I like knowing, like, okay, there's an area of gray. Like, it's not
Mhm.
always yes or no. But I like knowing who is who and what's what. I don't want varying degrees of evil. That's what these people are. They are varying degrees of evil, and there's no one to really invest in as far. And I know this sounds contradictory to what I'm saying, but I'm saying there's no person in here that you can invest in as the moral compass because you're all corrupt. Yeah, okay. Eduardo, you're out there, you're putting on the grind, you're trying to get capital. But I
Mhm.
mean, like, what did you think was going to happen behind the scenes when he was left to his own devices? You know what he's about. He wants validation
Mhm.
and acceptance and inclusion from anyone and everyone. And then you,
So wait, so let me ask you. So is what you don't like is the portrayal of the characters or the I don't know, like is it a critique of the portrayal of the characters because they're characters.
no, no, that's what I'm saying.
They're
They're
not
just
actually real
characters
people. Right.
and they're not real people. So that's my one problem is that
Okay.
these are supposed to be real people, but they're caricatures. They ain't even characters at this point. Here's
Okay.
the archetype of the evil, arrogant, snug,
Right.
Ivy League school person. But we don't know
Mhm.
that, like we don't know what these people really are. They're, you know, and then at the same time, you're trying to base this and say, like, hey, or give the impression or allowed someone to imply or infer that this is the epitome story of these real life individuals.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I don't think you can do that and say, like, and make this now the authority on what Eduardo Saverin is or who the Winklevoss twins are or who
But
more.
isn't that a byproduct of not having any sort of prior um for lack of a better term, like social proof of who these people are. Like you're making a film about real people who the only thing that people know about these people is what they're actually seeing in the film.
Then you either a, like you suggested, put a disclaimer and say, oh look, this is
Based on a true
not,
story, yeah.
this is not a true story,
Yeah.
but based on true events or whatever.
Yeah.
Somehow when they ever,
Yeah.
they market the movies or TV shows in that manner.
Yeah.
B, and again, I don't know if this was done or not, but you got to at least put it out in the promotion. Like, yo, we tried to reach out to such and such, and we tried to do this extended third, but they refuse because they make
Yeah.
that known at the end credits of movies oftentimes too.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that then you don't intentionally allow the audience to have any type of delusion, because that's what it is. That, hey, this movie is about this specifically. You would
Hmm.
say, hey, this is an interpretation of what we perceive to be X, Y, and Z. The
Yeah.
Godfather of Harlem makes a good point since you referenced it of saying that on
In
Paramount
the
on the
very beginning,
yeah,
they
in the
say
very
drama
beginning.
installation. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
La Bamba did it. I
Yeah.
mean, like, there's JFK did it. Like, there's countless movies that you can run down and say,
Yeah.
like, hey, we did this. And then from, I love that people have this that it's very polarizing. You know what I mean? Like, where you stand with this movie. And that's
Hmm.
dope in some senses. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm going to go see it now based upon this. I'm not going to see it based upon this.
Hmm.
But this movie, um, I don't think it did itself any favors by what was going around at that time. Here we are now as more divisive than ever. And it's movies like this that I think have done it because it gave an ill perception of what these people were about, who these people are, what this was going on. Like, this movie is a,
So you're saying that the movie created a false negative
oh
impression
yeah,
of these
yeah,
individuals. Okay.
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's yeah, that's an interesting point there because it does, like I said, Jesse Eisenberg is defining who Mark Zuckerberg is as a character, and he's defining a person who is like between 19 and 23,
And think
which
about that. I didn't even get to the
which
part of, yeah, he's
which
a
at that stage
child.
of your life, like
Yeah, where
yeah,
you're
how
supposed
much,
to make
yeah,
mistakes.
yeah,
Where
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is the first time that you're doing these things on your
No doubt,
own, within
no
a
doubt,
different environment, without certain resources that you would normally have privy to. Like, everything about this doesn't put it in its proper context. So you're
no
left
doubt.
hating this dude, despising him, and you don't
Yeah,
even know anything about him.
and the movie doesn't. Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting because like it's not it's not a biographical film. It's not, right? And there's also not enough information that's known about any of these people to make that film. Like this movie would have probably been different had it been made now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now in reverse, because now you have so much more information on these people, and not only what they were doing then, but then kind of where they went on to from this point. So that yeah, I definitely get that. I definitely get that. Let me
Yeah,
just
jump
drop
into
on
your
what
joint,
my
man.
yeah. So my things like there's two things that I really didn't like about the film. One, I actually thought they spent a little bit too much time with the Winklevoss,
You
who are
think
not
so?
like my yeah because like I didn't care about them losing the rowing race, for example, like
Mm.
that
You
was
don't think that was maybe something to a bigger picture, like an allegory of like, hey, they've incurred losses and this is how they handled losses, and therefore it's going to be the magnitude in which they have this loss against him? I think that's
well,
why he did it.
it could be, but I also think that the movie what the Winklevoss represent is to me like the elitist kind of person that has access to these private clubs and has the chance to talk to the like it was like a delegate from another country and like do they live in this world where they can meet with the president of the university because their dad has these
Just like
connections.
that.
And it's like I think it's to make people never feel sorry. Generally, people do not feel
Hmm.
sorry for rich people, right?
Hmm.
Generally, like when a rich person loses, people are like, "Ah, good deal." Like, like we're on the same thing. I just felt like there's like I felt like I spent a little bit too much time with them, like
Got
their
you.
their persona things. That just wasn't one of the things I liked.
I
And
dig
then
it.
the other thing is, you mentioned when Eduardo goes to New York. I think it would have been good to actually see
What
what
he was doing.
Eduardo actually was doing in New York because you don't know if he was successful or not successful. He wasn't, but the real story is that while he was in New York, he was also working on another company altogether.
Yeah.
He was actually building
Shady.
another business, and that his time wasn't really as focused on Facebook
Like it was
as
supposed to be.
everybody else's was, right? And that's part of what creates some of the rift. So definitely, the film is informed a lot by what Eduardo's perspective is, and I get that, but I also would have liked to see more of like how successful was he in New York because the movie kind of makes it seem like he's out there grinding, and then
See what I'm saying? False
and then
narrative.
Mark and Sean Parker backdoor him, and like that's how that
You
goes. So
brought
yeah,
about
that
your own ruin.
right, and it wasn't that's not how it was. But everything what everyone has said about it is like the movie is a lot more interesting than our lives actually was, which
Hmm.
is the case for most people, with the
Oh yeah.
exception of like Michael Irvin and Bobby Brown. Like most people's
Or
lives
Mike Tyson.
are not as interesting in real life as they are on film, but for them it was. So that's where it was. But yeah, that's where I'm with that. What you got on questions, man?
Oh man, so here we go. Is Mark Zuckerberg portrayed as a visionary or a villain? Or is that briefly too simple to capture his character?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like it's either a dichotomy. It's probably the movie's kind of giving you both,
Mhm.
right? Now, once again, this is the character, so I don't know like what he's like in real life. I've never met him, but I think the idea itself was a visionary idea. I think he got around the right people who were able to put him in contact with folks who fund those ideas. And like I said, you can't really question the outcome of all of it because social media is everywhere. Like
Mhm.
it is literally one of the things that is shaping, for better and worse, the society that we live in to this day. So in that sense, I always think that one of the best parts of the movie is the debate back and forth about what actually Facebook is. And like Mark always saying, like, we don't even know what it is yet. We don't even know like what it can be or what it can
Mm.
become. I think when you're in the process of building something, the visionary never defines it too quickly, because sometimes like once you define something too quickly, it makes it so constricted. And then just like with people, with us, we're constantly evolving and doing different things. Maybe that he created something that had the ability to do that. So I think that's a visionary thing. Now the character in the film, definitely a jerk. I don't know if he's a villain, but definitely a jerk. Like I think Sean Parker actually the character Sean Parker looks the worst in this joint, but but Mark is
Was it the
he's
drug
got
abusing and the womanizing?
no, it was the teenage girls.
that'll
That's what looked bad.
that'll do it too.
Yeah, that's the thing. The other joints, that's like,
It's
Dallas
pale. It
Cowboy.
pales.
That's Dallas Cowboy stuff that you got to
That's a
there.
Tuesday for the Cowboys.
Shout out to the Cowboys, man.
Why do you think the film is told through deposition scenes? How does that change how we trust the story?
Yeah, I think this kind of gets to one of your points that you're making about the factual nature of it. The deposition scenes are what both the writer of the book and the writer of the movie used to inform most of what they were saying. So I think they lean on that to legitimize the project. And so if you watch it through that lens, I think that's how you kind of get over the hump that you
Mm,
pointed out about how much of this is accurate really and how much of these portrayals of these people is accurate really. So that's what the point is there to do that.
gotcha. What's the effect of ending the film with Mark refreshing Erica's Facebook page? Is it tragic, ironic, or something else?
I think they're trying to create sympathy for the character. I
Mm,
think they're trying to get you to feel like at the end of the day, this is a guy who's still wounded because he lost his girl.
mm-hmm.
And if he can get her attention, her admiration, her respect, that's what he's really searching for. And that's actually not true. The character of his girlfriend isn't even a real person. So that's like a plot device that's designed to create something for you to look at the character a certain way. It's successful because it does look sad. Is him sitting there clicking refresh all the time at the end of the joint after he tried to unsuccessfully holler at Rashida Jones. You know what I mean? Like after that, but yeah, it's designed to make you kind of have some sympathy for him at the end.
What does that say about Rashida Jones's character to shoot him down? This is a billionaire, yo, and you like
Uh,
nah.
I mean,
Interesting.
after you sat there in a room with those people, would you want to? I wouldn't even want to hang out with them.
Well, we're a different
People.
breed. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
They don't
right.
make them like us anymore.
How about
Um,
that?
how does the film balance showing genius versus showing cruelty? And what does it say about ambition in the tech world?
I think that but the thing is, the movie says that business is business, business isn't personal, and that you got to be cutthroat to get to where you are. And I think all of these movies, where you're talking about the Steve Jobs film, I don't know if you saw the joint with what's his name, Michael Keaton, about the founder, about the McDonald guy who
Oh, the right
actually took
there's
the Ray Kroc
Crocs.
joint, who
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
took the McDonald's thing from the brothers.
yeah. That was the real estate.
Right. I mean, like there's this notion that to make it in America in business,
You got
you have to
steel.
be willing to step on people, right? And I don't know that that's not true. To be 100% honest with you, I don't know that that's not true. Some people will say that there are no billionaires that are billions aren't made like by nice people. You
I
know what I
just
mean?
told you this.
Like that. Right. I mean, there's right. I mean, there's people right, and a lot of people agree with that. So I think it's like it fits a certain narrative that I think we all believe, which is like to get to that level, you have to be willing to
You-
step on some folks in a way that the guy who started the Salvation Army maybe wasn't like. Maybe, maybe, maybe. All right, it's up for me now.
yes, sir.
All right, here's my first question for you, man. Yo, what's your biggest takeaway from watching this movie?
It's gonna sound like something I said in another joint, but people could be described as a virus.
That's your like
I've seen too much hardship in this movie that was self-inflicted and was totally unnecessary. All because people didn't want to be kind, be nice, and be good. There's a
okay.
way that you can be an
But isn't
entrepreneur.
that the world though? Isn't
But
that
that's
the
my
real
point.
life?
That's what I'm saying. People may be described as a virus. I mean, like we go over, we take from here. Like you just said it. There's not one business example that I can think of, and I'm not saying I'm a student of history, but I try to be. I can't count anything right now as far, and I'm limited. I'm not saying I'm the end all be all. I can't think of one business venture that wasn't someone didn't take credit for it, aka Thomas Edison. I can't think of one person who didn't get screwed by the government, Nicholas Tesla. I can't think of one avenue, even famous Amos cookies. Like I can't think of one business venture in which they didn't get used up and sucked away, and now their legacy was tarnished in some way or lied about and made to be even more grander than what it is.
Isn't that the experience of human beings though, in general?
And that's why I'm wondering, like, yo, are people
Like
just
every
bad? Are we just bad, man?
oh,
And does the movie
that's a whole nother
that's what
existential
I'm saying? And
question.
does
But
the movie reinforce that? So that's my
okay.
takeaway.
That's your takeaway. All right. Shout out to the Agent Smith take right there, man. All right. Uh who's the biggest winner from this movie? Like who's the biggest winner after you watch this? You got to pick somebody.
Rashida
Somebody's got to be
Jones's
around.
character. I
Okay.
think she
All
comes
right.
away from this like, I may not have all the money in the world, but I have my pride, my dignity, my self respect, and I can say that I'm a good person.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I have a job that could be a career. I haven't hurt anybody that I love. Like, at least we don't know, but this that we know of. Yeah, I think she is, man.
Okay. Who's the biggest loser from the movie?
Anybody affiliated with Facebook, but specifically, I'm gonna go like you did with Justin Timberlake's character, man. I'm
Sean Parker.
Sean
Yeah. Sean
Parker.
Parker. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, not consistent with what actually happened with him in
yeah,
real life. Yeah, but his character was portrayed in a way that I would have had a problem with it if it
yeah.
was me. But from what I understand, he was okay with it because it was Justin Timberlake portraying him. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess,
Which
I
is
guess
which is
if
crazy.
if they did the joint with me and it was Idris Elba playing me, maybe I'd be like, all right, well, fine.
I don't know, man. I
Maybe you
couldn't
get
sign off on that, but
that.
this is.
maybe you get that. All right, what impact has the movie had? I feel like I've asked this question already, but I'm asking again. What impact has the movie had on the public perception of Facebook? I feel like we
I think it's been a mixed bag. There's been
can.
benefits. There's. I know this sounds like, oh, he's copping out, but I mean honestly, nothing is all one thing. There's rare circumstances where something is all or nothing. So it hasn't
Mhm.
been all bad because it's allowed family members to connect and stay in touch when there's been distance due to health concerns, whatever have you. There's been
Yep.
a way to reconnect with individuals who, for whatever life's travels have made them grow apart.
Hmm.
It's been a means by which we benefit from promotion and reaching out to other outlets and other individuals who wouldn't necessarily have access. It's allowed people to share, um, you know, untold stories in order to
Yeah.
get, someone who may have needed whatever it is that they needed. Maybe a child was lost or a lost dog or selling a truck or whatever. So it's had its benefits. But yet, as this movie has clearly documented, there's been a lot of distrust created, a lot of lies told, a lot of hurt, a lot of displaced feelings. It's caused its fair share of chaos.
Yeah, and I think that's what the scene where Mark runs into his ex girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
and he tries to talk to her, and she really explains like the damage that he did
Yeah,
by saying the
man.
things he did online, and like saying like that's in ink, it's not in pencil, it's there
Yeah.
forever. That was yeah, that she really defined I think the worst parts of social media that we see all the time
Mm-hmm.
today in that statement. So yeah, that's yeah, that's a real thing right there, no doubt. All right. Hot takes. Mr. Will, what is your hot take on the social network?
I don't think that this movie is about Facebook or even about Mark Zuckerberg and the twins and his friends and associates. I think this is more about loneliness, insecurity, and the cost of power. And I think Facebook symbolizes and encapsulates all of that. It's the MacGuffin device, if you will. I think that if you replace this with any tech startup company, they're going to have a similar story. Maybe not on the same magnitude, obviously, but I think it's going to still have the same emotional arc, and I think that's what compels people to tune in.
Yeah. Do you think that people want to see these types of people fail?
Of course, this who wants
Okay.
who wants to see someone who comes up with something that just seems like so like minor and just basic and simple, and they're now able to do everything that you want to do. People are envious. Like I mentioned, people are lonely. And when you're lonely, you stew in your feelings and you wonder why these things haven't happened to you, what separates them. People want fair play. At the end of the day, everybody wants the sense of right is right, wrong is wrong. They need that. They desire it. They can't exist without it. And you don't have
Yeah.
that in this.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's one opinion. That's one opinion. All right. Um. Yeah, that's an interesting take, man. I just think it's tricky because I think if we want people to fail, then it also I think puts a limitation on what we can achieve.
And you don't think we already have those limitations? There are self-imposed governors on everybody. And at the same time, there's countless examples of people going to a class and saying, hey, I'll give everybody an A minus, and people being like, no. and so the
Yeah.
class doesn't get it. And it has to be unanimous. And the
Hmm.
lone voice is like, no, because he didn't study as hard as I did. Or
Yeah.
there's a survey that I read once about everybody could make I think like $65,000 or whatever. I forget the number, but it
Hmm.
was more than the median average in the United States. And
Yeah.
someone and I think it was like 49% or even 50% of the people were like, nah, because you're getting something that you didn't work for and I work hard for. It was basically the same thing with the grades, but flipped.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this is telling. People don't want you to have something that they don't have. People
Or is
want
it that people don't want you to have something that you didn't work for?
that too. People,
Like like
they
like
don't
when you were
respect your
like,
work and they don't want you to have it.
but what if you just didn't do it? Like, what if, like, for example, when you were in school, group project, you
Mm-hmm.
get 4 people, right?
Oh, I
Two
love
people
this.
do the
Work.
work. Two
Dude,
people work. One person kind of does work. The fourth person doesn't do anything.
I love that though.
Fourth person gets the same grade as
I
everybody
love it.
else.
I love it. You know
You
why?
do.
Because it taught me a lesson early on. And
What's the lesson?
and the joke is told by Rest in Power. I can't forget. I don't remember the guy's name right now. White guy, gray hair, balding, George Carlin. Um,
Hmm.
and he said, and it's nothing that he invented, mind you, but the
Hmm.
world is run by C students off of the work of A students, and B
Hmm.
students somewhere fit in the middle because they're the B students.
Which one of those 4 were you?
Um, not
Which one of the 4? Which one of the 4 were you?
not gonna lie, man. I was probably a B student, B plus student.
So you were the person in the middle.
Yeah, some people I would
Okay.
do the
All
work.
right.
Don't get me wrong, I would do the
Okay.
work, but
Okay.
I think like academically, I was a B student, B plus
Okay.
student. You know what I mean? Like,
So we both, all right. So we both are football fans, right? We
yeah,
both grew up with, like, you catch the ball 2 hands,
yeah,
right? All the time. If you don't, you drop the ball, you get pulled,
you gotta
right?
run.
Right. Now, every week you see people catching the ball 1 hand all the
I
time.
hate that.
Some people saw, okay, then now I get you. I understand now. I understand. I got you. Because if you don't like that, then that it all makes sense. I got you. All right, cool. Cool. We're good. We're good. We're good. Now, okay, we're good. I got you. All right. Here's my hot take. My hot take on this is that this is actually about just the social media creator, the Mark Zuckerberg, the Steve Jobs, the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk. Those are the modern day tycoons.
Mm,
And just like Ford and DuPont before them, the society at large, wants to know as much as possible about these people. The problem and the challenge is that these people haven't actually been around long enough for their lives to actually be in film enough to actually form a legitimate opinion about them to begin with. So, like the documentary on Henry Ford or the books about him came after he was dead.
mm-hmm.
We're trying to process these people in real time
Mm.
because everything has to be in real time in order for it to be legitimate or real to begin with. And it doesn't give people enough space to really look back and say, what was this person really like? What's the real stories like we talked about it earlier with like Bobby Brown. Imagine like doing a documentary about New Edition after Bobby Brown just left. Like that documentary would be a lot different than the one that's on BET, the 8-part joint, because they got 20 years out of distance and they got a chance to get old. Like these people are like Mark Zuckerberg is younger than us still. I mean, like that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, but this is also, like I said, it's become like with Uber, the Uber story that's on TV and the founder and all these things because we're captivated by these people. The last thing is, social media is just the power of it, man. Even if you like, people can get on Facebook to talk trash about Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook. That's crazy, but it's so ubiquitous and we plug into it all the time and we give it all the energy and we have to because how else are you going to operate? That's crazy. And once again, please make sure that you like and subscribe and share
On
because we
Facebook.
are on Facebook, right? Facebook, Threads, right. Instagram, it's a bugged out system, man. Like one of my old coworkers used to say, "Don't you know that the system is so large that it can afford to fund its own opposition?" Like you can be critical of something while you have to use it at the same time.
Crazy.
That's not government. That's amazing.
It's
That's an
crazy.
amazing thing. Next week, we're not talking about the big social media things. Next week we plugged into Nobody 2. Get back to the calamities of all time. So that's what we got. Hey, once again, the Sticky Floors podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify Podcasts. We are on YouTube, where we are pushing to get 100 new subscribers. YouTube is not a Facebook product, by the way, a Meta product, but we are on Facebook and Instagram and Threads as well, where we want to continue the conversation about this movie and all the other movies we covered as well. We'll see you next week. Peace.